this. Yeah. So, anyways, why don't we start off with Betty? And so Betty, maybe like 10 or 15 minutes if you give a presentation. I don't. Do you want to share your screen? Any?
Oh, I don't know. I don't have anything to. I sent out links for Sirius's website and the city council meeting in Toledo where they introduced that. If you watch that video, you get a real clear picture of what this system is. That's scaled down version of what we want to do. So the pilot project is to build that scaled down version into one that's the unit is the size of a shipping container, and it fits at it'll fit at our waste treatment facility. And to process all of Toledo's waste, in the end, it'll take 2 of those. And so one will do about 30,000 gallons of waste a day. So,
Betty, when you say that, are you talking about sewage, or are you talking about?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, sewage. Yeah, our sewage waste. So the reason that this all came up is because of the biosolids stuff that's been going on that we've been talking about for years. And and all municipalities have to deal with that. Well, Toledo has to deal with that. Newport has to deal with it. Anybody who has, has who has a sewage system that's a city-owned sewage system has to deal with it. So Toledo's was built in the 40s with New Deal money, so it has to be updated. And Newport's, I know they need to expand because it's not big enough. So the other issue with the way we do it now is that it has a lot of potential energy and in the form of methane that gets released into the atmosphere. That's a greenhouse gas. So we don't want that happening. And that can be used to generate this plant and make it work. So we're losing that potential energy. It takes a large amount of energy to run a waste treatment plant because it has to constantly turn the vats of solids so that the microbes can break it all down, all that stuff. It has to continuously run. So, and then of course they produce biosolids in the end, which you have to deal with, you have to get rid of. And the only ways to get rid of them now is to either land apply them or to put them in a landfill, neither of which is very good. One, land the application, depends on who you ask, but with pharmaceuticals and all the stuff that we put down the drain now, along with everything that we eat that our bodies don't use, we don't know what's in biosolids. They don't test for it. We don't know. And we're putting it on farmland. And right now it's applied along the Sledge River and it could end up in the river. So we in Toledo have decided that we don't want to do that anymore. We wanted to find a way to eliminate this problem altogether. We also have the problem, you're trucking it over there, which means you have emissions from the vehicles, you have the cost of trucking it, you have all these different costs and hazards along the way. So we started looking at systems, and we can, our choices are to replace things as we go, to buy an incinerator, which an incinerator is $14 million, and it's not going to solve the problem of what's going up in the air. It's only going to solve the problem of the biosolids. It's just going to turn it into char, and then you got to deal with that. So then we heard about this system from one of our people that just moved here from Utah and used to work with the guys that are doing this system. And for $6 million, $2 million is for one, the first unit to build that. And the reason that unit is so much money is because it's like a brand new car off the first one off the line is the most expensive one because it's new. So as they go on, they'll get cheaper. So the first one is $2 million, and then the second one's probably going to be it's going to be about $2 million too, because it'll have all the changes that make it better. So, you know, it'll be the new and improved model, and we'll get both of those here in Toledo. And then the last 2 million of the 6 is to build a manufacturing plant here in Toledo, so we can build these units. We can what other things? We'll have a training facility there to train people to build them, to maintain them, to sell them, to, you know, do all the assembly, build all the parts for them, do everything, you know, the technicians, everything. And then those people will go out in the world and do those things. And this technology is something that's going to change. It really is going to change the way we do things. Okay, so now we've covered why we want to do it. What this does is the first part of it, you have to have it mixed into a slurry that'll go in. And when you watch the video, you'll get a much better idea, because Johnny explains it great. He's the engineer behind the whole thing. And this is old technology that's being used in a new way. So this is the technology that they use to break down mustard gas. And when they do that, you know, you can't have anything escape. So this is what this. So you put this slurry into the tube, and it's a vacuum, and it heats it. It starts to heat it, and it forms the vacuum, and then it gets pulled into whatever doesn't break down there. Gets pulled into it's a reactor. And what the reactor does is it superheats water under pressure, so that lowers the the boiling point, and it breaks apart all the hydrocarbon molecules. So you can use this on any hydrocarbon, biosolids, plastics, all kinds of different waste products, plant material, anything that's a hydrocarbon base can be broken down with this system. It just has to be first fine enough to go through there. In the end, what it creates is, as it breaks apart all those bonds, it's creating CO2, which you can capture and turn back into carbon fiber or whatever other carbon use you want to use it for, but you can capture that. There's no other gas that would escape, because you can use a scrubber to wash it back down, so there's no sulfur dioxide or any of that. It produces that, a little bit of minerals and water. It's just making water. So if you put in 100,000 gallons of water, you get back 100,000. Let me think. You get back 107,000 gallons of water. So it's making between 7 and 10% of extra water. So you can recycle your water back through the system, because it comes out really pretty hot, and you have to let it cool down before you can release it in. But it's distilled water, so it's to the point where you can drink it. It's so clean, because that's all it's doing is making distilled water, and it's running off of its own energy, because it's pushing turbines with the heat and the water going through and everything going through. Is pushing turbines. And so it's producing its own energy, and it's to run it. It's just, when you watch the video, it'll blow your mind, because it's just, this whole thing is so game changing on what we can do for the environment, and what we can do with our garbage and our biosolids and any other thing. Georgia Pacific could use it to get rid of we wouldn't have those stinky ponds out there anymore. They wouldn't have their landfill on the other side of the river that's full of sludge. We wouldn't have any of that stuff. And then it'll, in this the solids that come out, it's just this 30,000, 30,000 gallons of this will produce about a pound of solids, of minerals. And so, and in those, there's going to be some metals and things. And we haven't looked at how if you could reclaim those metals. that would be another cool thing if we can figure out how to reclaim those. So, you know, even if it's so much less than what we're doing now, that it's just, it just makes me so excited to think about it. So, part of the reason I want to bring it up here is because we can use your help in that we need letters. I've asked Senator Merkley to help us find the funding. And we've asked, we're trying to get, we also got to have a special permit to run this. So we need EPA approval. So that's where Representative Schrader comes in. So if we could get letters to those two saying, yes, this is a great idea, we need to fund this, we need to make this happen, and as soon as possible, you know, it's like in the next budget cycle, or, you know, if we finally get the money for infrastructure, whatever, this will create jobs. It'll, besides everything else we're doing, we're talking about building a plant that'll create jobs and teach kids how to weld and fabricate and all that stuff. So, okay, now I'll answer questions.
So Fran has her hand raised. Want to go ahead, Fran? You're still muted.
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go.
Okay. Hello.
Hi.
So thank you, Betty. I watched the video and listen to the presentation. Actually, I just listened to the presentation. It was hard to get the YouTube video, but I saw the presentation in front of the City Council. It's very impressive, and at the same time, it's really untested. They I looked at their website and it's so sparse. They use you as a pilot project example.
Right, we
So
are
they
the
have-
pilot.
So there's no other working systems. And
There's not yet.
so
That's it.
why would they charge you $4 million for 2 systems and have you bear all the risk? Why
Well-
wouldn't they, if this is a pilot project, you know, pay for half of it, have
Right.
them have some oar in the game? I mean,
Well,
I can't
okay.
even imagine writing a letter of support for an untested technology with them not
Mm-hmm.
doing anything.
Okay, so this is a test. It is a tested technology. That's the thing. This is the technology that they use to get rid of mustard gas. So this is a tested technology. It's just being put into a different schematic and they've added a few things to it to make it even better so that it can be used for these. Secondly, they didn't ask us to pay the money. We told them we were going to find the money because we want this system. They all they did was put this together and told us about it, and we said, okay, we really want this to happen, and we've got the perfect setup because we have the space at our facility to put this the 2 cargo containers, the first one, and we can hook it into our plant. And if it doesn't work, or something goes wrong when we're testing it, because it is a pilot project, we can turn it off and go back to our old system. So it's not going to interfere with our present system at all. It's just going to be an add-on if it doesn't, you know, if we have issues with it. Now, they already know that it works because they've been running their little one in their garage, which I went and I saw it physically and I saw it work, and it does exactly what they say it's going to do. And they've tested it, and they have the water testing, the water samples at the end to prove it does exactly what they say it's going to do. They haven't used it on sludge, but they've used it on oil. And to me, you know, the water from an oil refinery. So to me, that proves it'll work, because if it'll work on oil, biosolids is a lot less nasty than oil from an oil well.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm not arguing that it might work. It's that there's a lot of public and dollars investment that you're asking for. I mean, I would love it to work. It's almost too good to be true. You know, it's a
Mhm.
really great thing, and I'm
Mhm.
glad you guys are willing to experiment. But I mean, I just cannot see how you would invest or have the public invest all this money with them not having equal investment into the game. That's all I'm saying.
Mhm. Well, it's just how we decided we would do it. So, you know, at this point, you know, we can split it into parts. So the first one is 2 million. And if it doesn't, you know, it's like if it doesn't pan out, that's just 2 million. But, you know, for the whole project, it's 6. It is gonna pan out though. I'm very confident in it. Tomorrow morning, they're gonna present to the waste haulers of Lincoln County and how it would work for our landfills and for garbage, instead of hauling all of our garbage to landfills, how it would work for that. After seeing this, I am really convinced it'll work, and I am not at all hesitant about spending the money for it. When I think about how much money our government spends wastefully, $2 million to $6 million is nothing compared to what we spend on things that we shouldn't be spending any money on, in my opinion. So asking our government, our federal government, and that's us, the taxpayers, to help fund something that can change the way we handle a lot of different things in this world, all over the world, and can fit into just about anybody's municipality system for waste or garbage or whatever, and produce fresh drinking water at the end. This can you know, and this also can be used to desalinize ocean water. It has to have BTUs to run it, and that's all. So, you know, from someplace.
So I
So
think, so I think June raised her hand 30
I
seconds, 2
I
seconds
did.
before Paul.
Betty kind of answered my question to us when she mentioned the garbage haulers, but how come they didn't go to the garbage haulers first?
well, this whole thing happened because this happened, what was it, 2 years? I don't even know how many years ago. We had our town hall meeting here in Toledo, and I got up and I talked about biosolids. And the gentleman who moved to Toledo was at that meeting. He had just moved here. His name is Ricky Dyson. He had just moved here. And he heard me talk about it, and then he talked to the mayor after, and he and the mayor connected on, you know, he's like, well, why would you don't have to do it that way. You can do it this way. And so then we started checking into it. And so, you know, over the last, about a year ago, our mayor, got together with and saw a presentation on this. And then, you know, with COVID and everything, it kind of got dropped. But then I took over, and I've been, you know, going gangbusters. The city of Toledo is all in. We want this to happen.
Have you talked to Doll Disposal yet about it?
They're gonna be at the meeting tomorrow. Yeah.
Have they expressed any wish to be part of this before they actually? Pardon?
Yeah, we'll see after tomorrow. We don't. They
Okay.
haven't seen.
So they know nothing about this yet.
Not yet. No.
Okay.
Yeah. Anything that, you know, it's like Doll right now is involved with GP. GP saw a presentation on it. You know how GP is. They won't put their skin into anything. They're not gonna, you know, it's like they don't want to say they like it or don't like it. They have no opinion because they're not allowed to. And so, you know, if we get it here, we can convince them. You know, that's the whole thing. We can convince them that this is what they need to be doing, because they do.
So Paul, you raised your hand. You have a question, Paul?
Yeah, I do. This is exciting, Betty. I agree. You know, there's a number of other avenues that definitely should be explored. Even the Office for Economic Development for the county Did you even have a conversation with anybody there? This is an economic development strategy as well as an ecological solution.
We had a joint meeting with the county commissioners and they are in support of it. That's pretty much it right now. So, you know, they're, I don't know if you've ever dealt with the county commissioners, but yeah. I don't know if I'm allowed to say my opinion of them. One works and two are checked out. That's my opinion. Two have checked out and one works. So, you know, and I consider all three of them friends. So.
Well, okay. Yeah. So I guess, yeah. So in any event, this economic thing and how I have not really looked at the little presentation, although I'm an advocate for what you're doing. And the idea of it being a solution right there is pretty exciting. And how we get their attention is
okay. Tomorrow we will have Paul Seitz is the one. He's the
I know.
solid waste manager. Yeah, he is running the meeting tomorrow morning. It's the Solid Waste Advisory Council. I'm a member of that. And we're going to see the presentation of it. So it's all the garbage haulers in the county there. So Paul's going to see it tomorrow.
Good.
And Depot Bay has already contacted me. They asked for me to send the information because they sent it he sent it on to his engineer there. So there's some excitement about it going on. And I see Fran's message about how much water. The thing with it, Fran, is that once you put in the initial amount of water, you're not only getting that water back, but you're producing water. So it could recycle its water and you'd only have to put in the water the first time. And that's the other reason we want to do it here, is because if it can handle our amount of rainfall that we get every year, it can handle it anywhere in the world. So, you know, we have thought about all of those things and we can't come up with a reason not to do it. We realize that, yes, it's going to take water to start, but then it's going to produce extra water from it. So, and it can be recycled.
So why
That was
don't we
the
have
other-
one, oh.
Well, that was the other reason GP should get it, is because they could recycle their water better. And
Yeah.
So Mike, you raised your hand. Do you still have a question?
Well, yeah, Fran touched on it. The energy output's the part that concerns me. Energy equals carbon outputs, and I've done a little studying on this process, and there's a fairly high energy component to this. So I'd like to hear more about that.
When you watch the video, it produces its own energy. It has a turbine in it that turns and produces its own energy with the way the system is built. So if you watch it, watch the video and you'll see that it really is. It's a lot less energy than what we use now, and it produces its own energy and shouldn't have any energy inputs unless you turn it off. And then it takes hours to reheat, not days and weeks like a lot of other plants. If you take them offline, this only takes hours to get it up to the heat it needs.
I guess I need to know a little more because it sounds a little like a perpetual motion machine, which we know is not possible. So I'm a tad skeptical.
Yeah, no, watch the video of the city council meeting that I had emailed everybody, and it'll get explained on there, and you'll get a better feel for it, and then if you have more questions after that, I'll get one of the guys to come on here and explain it. They're over in Sandy, Utah. They're only an hour behind us, so.
So maybe just sort of to wrap up, because we're at 7:30. So I'll send out those attachments that Betty had sent. I'm not sure other people got them, because I myself never forwarded them. So I'll forward all that on to everybody. And just one final thing. So where, for people who want to write letters, Betty, who should it get addressed to?
To Senator Merkley and Representative Schrader are the two that we've been in contact with the most about it.
Okay, great.
So yeah, that would be the places to start. Mhm.
Okay, so why don't we move on a couple of the other agenda items? One is, following up with John Ross, talk about, that private land purchase. Folks have other items that they want to bring up. Anything? Okay, so last Tuesday or Wednesday, I sent an email off to the Newport City Councilors, and then I also copied John Ross on it, and I think a couple of you folks here too. Just because we had our Mayor Sawyer here 2 weeks ago, and he expressed interest in it, and so I sent an email off to them asking if they'd made any effort to contact John or so forth or so on, and so as I said, I sent it both to the mayor as well as all the city councilors and Spencer Noble, the city manager, and so none of them bothered to respond. And I noticed that none of them bothered to show up to this meeting tonight. So that just sort of tells me that they are just not wanting to pursue this at this point in time. I don't know what more to say. I mean, as I said, none of them responded to my email. And I was particularly hoping, because Dietmar and Cynthia have certainly expressed interest in this, in previous times, but they're obviously not here tonight either. So
I think
don't know.
I think Cynthia has got some other fairly heavy duty stuff going on in her life. So forgive her. She's
Well, sorry to hear that. Paul, do you have any other insights into that?
Not on that end of it. I'm on the proactive, create a vision side of it. So I've had a communication with the Forest Service at this mid-coast landscape scale, which is 1 million acres. Forest Service has expressed interest and support with identifying opportunities, which they already have. And right now, no one would be privy to actually name a parcel with the ownership. But I would say Lower Siuslaw, yes. Beaver Creek, yes. Okay, that's Siuslaw National Forest. U.S. Fish and Wildlife, yes. They like the idea. They've got opportunities. So we've got these, the beginning of a wish list with partners. Then I've reached out to a number of folks, hoping that maybe we'll be able to get the concept of a Excel sheet that would be for private without names on it, but do that same type of thing. 2 parcels, Lower Siletz, and then have an ecological component to it that would be linked to estuarine, beaver, tidal marsh, forested wetland benefits. So it's a conservation, and then have a list of supporters, Watershed Council, Yaquina Birders and Naturalists, National Forest, this. And then once we compile that spreadsheet with vague locations, then we can then shop it with more of the political arena, knowing that we can dot the I, cross the T's pretty rapidly when we would take it to the next step. That's kind of where I'm at. And like I said, there are opportunities in the Central Coast that fit. And some of them are on that you can say out loud, like Cape Foulweather. That's a scenic priority area in the county plan that is for sale right now. Does this fit the bells and whistles? Community support, you know? So in any event, there are some that would be kind of like on those 8 principles for these parcels: community support, conservation benefit, carbon, and so some would have hit all those bells and whistles. Others would only hit 2 or 3 of them or 4 of them, you know? So that's what I've been kind of up to when I have time to muck about on 30 by 30.
Okay,
But we did share, and I don't know how far it got, the latest little press thing that about 30 by 30. And the state of Oregon's conservation strategy had a Zoom with Defenders of Wildlife and other NGOs about connectivity in 30 by 30. And so linking whatever we do to the state's conservation strategy would be very helpful, which what we're identifying works well with that. And so once we could take that next step, we'd pull ODFW into the circle, Derek and some of the other folks in ODFW, and see, well, the one parcel we can say out loud, because everybody knows that it's on the market, is the Boone Newt Slough parcel. That's on the market. So that would definitely hit all the bells and whistles as a priority area for conservation, community support, a carbon lift, and jobs doing restoration work, an infrastructure thing related to resiliency. So, and that could be the tribe takeout. And the tribes are savvy to this. So that's what I've been kind of up to when I have time.
okay, great. Yeah, so speaking of the tribes, Mayor Sars said he was going to contact the tribe, but I suspect he probably hasn't contacted the tribe on this though, so. Okay. Well, so that's about the only thing I have is, Fran, I think you and John Ross, you'd sort of exchanged some emails about the possibility of him giving a presentation to the Depot Bay City Council. Is there anything happening on that? Fran? Well. anyway.
Sorry, I don't know how to use this thing. Yes,
Okay.
yes, tomorrow night, we'll have a presentation about the watershed protection in the Hancock timberlands that is for sale in our North Depot Bay Creek watershed, and there's another parcel on a creek running into Whale Cove. So we're behind times. We don't even have a Zoom capability for the meeting, so he'll call in, and he's provided some slides updated for Depot Bay, but also he'll go over the Port Orford information that he shared with you guys. And I did provide a link to that presentation, but I don't know how many people will have looked at it before the meeting. So he'll come on tomorrow, speak for about 10 to 15 minutes and take questions.
Great. Good to hear. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. So do other folks have other items that they want to bring up here at this meeting? Anything else? Okay. Well, maybe we'll just sort of call the meeting short then, and people can move on to their other items.
Thanks, Martin.
Yes, thanks for organizing. Martin.
Okay.
Thanks, Betty. Appreciate you coming.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Good night, everybody.
Okay.
Night.
We'll see ya. Bye.